Landless and homelessness, land reform has been short of nothing of a disaster under this administration. The Expropriation Act, recently signed into law, is nothing but a rebranded apartheid relic, a repackaging of the Expropriation Act of 1975. It does nothing to address historical land issues. It is the same apartheid wine in a different bottle. The MK Party will not endorse half-baked legislation. We will push for an amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution to enable genuine land expropriation without compensation, to return the land to our people. And again, we know it's a failed state. Diluted national health insurance. The national health insurance signed into law is a betrayal to the needs of our people. It will not collapse private medical aids, but will instead make them richer. This government remains committed to protecting white capital interests, always pleasing whiteness at the expense of our people. Our hospitals continue to fall apart. Clinics lack basic supplies. Mothers give birth in corridors. Children die due to preventable diseases. President, this is a failed state. Education crisis. Our schools have become drug dens rather than centers of learning. Infrastructure is crumbling. Children still learn under trees, pit toilets, overcrowded classrooms. The Bella Act, now in the hands of the DA in consultation with the AfriForum, will not transform our education system because of the racist DA who will then never implement that good for blacks. It will be another law gathering dust while our children suffer. Again, this is a failed state.
In a major policy shift, we have released public properties for request for proposals, inviting both the public and the private sectors to submit their ideas. Soon we will be converting eyesores, such as the barracks in eThekwini, into a mixed-use development where the first new skyscraper will be built in Durban in the last 20 years. In our first round of proposals, we have released 31 properties for redevelopment at a value of 1.4 billion rand. Mr. President, this is going to generate up to 10 billion rand in private sector investment, create 165,000 jobs, and generate close to 200 million rand in rental income for the South African government. This is what the DA is delivering in the GNU. In Tshwane, we have handed over estate-owned land to community projects in Mamelodi after years of delay, which demonstrates our commitment to community development. We are taking decisive action against corruption and mismanagement. In just 7 months, we have launched investigations into the failed Telkom Towers project, which cost more than R1 billion, and the 800 million rand IDT oxygen tender. Mr. President and honorable members, I am taking a zero-tolerance approach to corruption and will hold officials and politicians to account for their role in these scandals.
Mr. Ramaphosa, when you started in 2018 and said Tumamina, the price of bread was 12 rand. Today is 22 rand. The price of a liter of petrol was 15 rands. Today is 25 rands. The price of 2.5 milli-meal was 21 rand 84 cents. Today is 39 rand 19 cents. Our people cannot afford to eat. In 2018, 8.9 million people were unemployed. Today, 11.4 million people are without jobs. Their futures are stolen by this government's incompetence. When you said your government planned to create 275,000 jobs a year in 2019, we knew then that young people, the unemployed, the dejected masses of our people were doomed forever. How can you aim to create 275 jobs a year when more than 12 million people are unemployed today? It would take 25 years to reduce unemployment to 5 million and a further 43 years to eradicate unemployment completely. You won't be here, President, in the next 25 years, let alone 43 years, because nature would have resolved our problems.
Mr. President, in your State of the Nation address last week, you confronted critics and doomsayers by saying something that they believe will never be said. And if I may quote you, you said this year we'll proceed with the preparatory work for the establishment of NHI. Regardless of this, some doomsayers still persist in their denial. Yesterday, during this debate, Mr. Honorable MJ Cuthbert said that he's happy that NHI is no longer in the MDDP, it's off the table. Sorry, sir, it is there, and it ought to be there, and it's going to continue being there. I've listened to people talking about NHI without even having read the Act, and they start by distorting the definition of NHI. NHI, or universal health coverage, is not a new system of health care, as some of you are prone of saying. It is not a system which people implement because they are rich, but NHI is a healthcare financing system that covers everybody regardless of their socio-economic status. That's what it means. And it has got two dimensions. The first one is that all people receive quality health care. And all means all. Regardless of how poor you are, it means all. And the second dimension is that when you receive that quality health care, you must not suffer financial hardship or what the World Health Organization called catastrophic health care expenditure.
As long as we remain South Africans, we will remain divided, covered with copious amounts of makeup. Remove the makeup and nothing has changed. We're the only country that calls itself free, where we choose to go by our slave name. Rhodesia became Zimbabwe. Southwest Africa became Namibia. We remain South Africa. And I can tell you all, South Africa has not changed. If you're black like me, you're a second-rate citizen in South Africa. Until that changes, Mr. President, we're going nowhere. And I hope for leadership from you to give us a name. 3 quick things, Mr. President. GBV is a sport in this country driven by culture and traditions. Unless we change them, more of us will lose our children. We plead with you, Mr. President. Let's have the discussion in our communities to change our values around that issue. As the minister will tell you in some of his presentations, our problem is not finance in health. We're spending enough of the GDP. What you should insist on, Mr. President, is until you realign what we spend on the GDP, not a cent more. NHI is another medical aid. The medical aid is under the authority of the minister. Let him change that. Our problem is not money. Lastly, on municipalities, our problem is not money. Our problem is cadre deployment. Our problem is leadership. See what SONA has done without an extra cent because of a mayor that says, I'm not a mayor of a party, I'm a mayor of the people of SONA. Let's put South African first and not money first, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honourable Tlape.